Okay guys, today I'm going to show you how to use an equalizer to mix your drums on a hip hop or trap track. The main purpose of an equalizer is to give your track a more professional, clear sound, and also to edit vocals or guitars and give things like kick a more thumpy feel and your snare more pop. So I'm going to demonstrate the context of an equalizer on the master track, and then I'll master a kick, a snare, a hi-hat, and an 808. So these bands up here are going to be how we're going to make our filter types. So if I drag this band down right here, we're going to make two of the most common filter types. The first one is a low pass filter, and it's called a low pass filter because we're only allowing the low frequencies to pass through. So as we drag this down, we're cutting out more and more high frequencies. So I'll play the track to give context. See, all the high frequencies completely cut out. But we can also change the steepness on the curvature to make it less subtle. See, this just suddenly cuts off all the frequencies, and this gradually cuts off the frequencies. So the exact opposite of that would be a high pass filter, which, like I said, only lets the high frequencies pass through. So we'll do the same thing, drag it down, put a steep curvature, and then I'll play the track to give you context. Cut out all the lows completely. So now that you kind of have context of what the equalizer will do, I'll use it to master our kick, snare, 808, and hi-hat. So pull up a Parametric EQ here on the kick, and if we solo the kick and play the track, we'll see that the kick is hitting around the bass, low bass to low mid area. So the main purpose of putting an EQ on our kick is to give it more of a punchiness. So we're going to apply a low pass filter with a steep curvature, and then we're only going to drag it to right here because we don't want to cut out too much tonality of the kick, and then a high pass filter, just cutting out the very lows of the kick that we don't want. So that right there is good. And then we're just going to highlight the main body of the kick by dragging up the 2 band. And then we're going to make it a little bit skinnier. And that makes, right there, makes our kick pretty thumpy. So move on to the snare. And then the purpose of the EQ on the snare is to just give it more tonality and a little bit more pop. So usually the snare is sitting in 2 different places, upper mid and low mid or mid area. So we're gonna boost both of those areas and cut out a little bit of the low frequencies. So we're gonna boost the main body in the upper mid. Move it over a little bit, and then this frequency right here, we're gonna make this band really skinny and just highlight that frequency. So we made it really skinny, so we're just boosting that frequency. So that's all we would do on the snare. Snare's a lot more louder, has a lot more tonality to it, and a lot more pop. So pull up the hi-hat, pull up a Parametric EQ. And if we look on here, the hi-hat is mainly occupying all of the high frequencies. So we're going to put a pretty extreme high pass filter on here with a pretty steep curvature. Bring it to about right there. And then we're just going to bring this shelf up and we're going to boost the main body of the hi-hat. It will give it a lot more sizzle, and just make it a lot louder. So last thing I'm going to show for you guys is the 808. So if you look on the 808, it's all low frequencies. So we're going to put an extreme high or low pass filter on there with a steep curvature, and then boost the low frequencies up some. And then usually you would want to put an equalizer on every one of your instruments, but because of time constraints, I just did those few instruments for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed, and that's all.